How's training and how's everything going?
Training's good. Still struggling, obviously, with the same issues on and off, with the traps and everything. That's my fault though, because I got caught up, didn't go to therapy for like 2.5 weeks. And I kid you not, that 2.5 weeks just it's like it's back at square one. So if I go, I'm okay. But it's just constantly changing things around, like yeah, it's just constantly
Yeah,
change. Well, like every workout I go in, I have an idea I'm gonna do this, but ends up changing things around because like something's hurting or something's sore, or like maybe I'm getting more of a shoulder pump than I am a chest pump. So I just change things around till like a guy. There's this guy that goes to my gym, a big dude, man. He looks good, but he's like, I was asking if he wants to compete. He's like, no, it's not something I want to go on stage and have some randoms judge me and whatnot, right? But he gave me the same point. He's like, he'll come in some days and let's say he's doing biceps and he's doing standing alternating dumbbell curls. He's like, if within the second set I don't feel like I'm getting a pump, I'll switch my exercise. He's like, just because he's like, there's just something. He's like, that's what he's learned with his body. He's like, I'm not gonna sit there 3-4 sets and be like, I'm not getting a pump. I'm gonna switch. And he's like, I'll go to spider curls. If I feel a better pump there, that's what I'm gonna do. Or vice versa, something that's an exercise that's similar to whatever he's switching out of. So that's what I've been kind of focusing on, like incline dumbbells for chest. Some days I do it and the shoulder just burns more before my chest even gives out. I don't even get a chest pump. My triceps get pumped and I get this crazy shoulder pump, but my chest isn't getting pumped up. So I'm like, okay, I'll switch to barbell. Barbell, I hurt too much on the traps that day, whatever's going on. So then I'll go straight to just hammer strengths, just machines. And machines for sure I like better than any other stuff, just because the control, you can really mess around the angles, elevate your seats and everything. That's where I'm at right now. But my biggest focus right now is just it's just healing, man. Like I am getting leaner, I'm getting whatever's going on, but the healing is the biggest thing right now. Because with the kids, I don't want to be walking around like, oh, I can't go climb the mountain with you. Oh, you want to throw a football? Sorry, my shoulder hurts. Right?
yeah,
Like,
that's one of the reasons why I pulled down my frequency. I only train 3 times a week now, but the other days I might not lift weights, but I'm going to be doing mobility work. That's made a huge difference.
yeah, that's what I've been talking to like the boys I'm with right now training. I'm like, dude, you don't need to come in and lift every day. Like this is too much, right? I'm like, let's do other things, functional movements, like actual stretching, but functional stretching, like going through actual movements that are going to help the things we have going on. But everyone's issue right now is like, not so much for me, but the others is like, if they don't train, they eat like shit. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
that's a personal battle, bro. That's not anything like we can change. So
You
I'm
know,
focusing more on cardio now too. Like if I'm going in, I only have like half hour, 40 minutes. I'm like, you know what, I'm not even gonna bother getting a pump because majority of my time I'm spent the first 10, 15 minutes of my workout warming up and getting the areas all going, right? So then I only have what 20 minutes left. So then I'll
yeah.
just I'll do abs and cardio. Maybe just like a few side raises, a quick arm pump just to
Mm.
get the blood in there, and then I don't know. So that's training
Yeah,
is
it's
just
changed quite a bit for me too. Like now I do the standard SMR stuff that we were doing before
yeah,
with the lacrosse ball and the softball to open up the pecs and the delts.
yeah,
And then from there, I never used to do things like, for example, like I would do something similar. Like I wouldn't do a barbell incline bench press first movement for chest, but like I would normally do a dumbbell press. And then even now from the dumbbell press, I change it up and I started doing like a pec deck variation.
yeah,
So maybe something like it's kind of weird. Like what I do is I take a seated bench and then I set the cables
yeah,
up like so like they're basically here and I'm just bringing the cables in like a seated cable fly.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But like what I do is behind it I put half of those what are those foam rollers? You know how you can get like one chopped in half?
yeah, like the quarter ones.
A half one. So you can
Ah,
cut it in half so it's like one side's flat and one side has a circular
oh
area.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And what I do is I do flies with those. I notice my traps retract, my scapula retracts, so I can get a way better stretch. I
yeah,
never ever used to do the stretch component first.
yeah,
So like my openers are my first exercise that I do now are
yeah,
like straight pump and mind muscle connection exercises. And
yeah,
it took some time for me to like get away from starting off with dumbbell presses to do like a fly motion. But like doing those openers, like for example, biceps, I'll do cable curls first.
Yeah.
Right. Which I never used to do cable curls, like two-handed cable curls. I'd be like, screw this.
Yeah.
But I do that. Tricep extensions. What I bought is you know that Vulcan strap. A lot of the big bodybuilders use it.
What does it look like?
Hold up, I'll pull it up. Just give me a second. It's a strap that's basically it's longer than the standard straps, right?
Yeah.
And it allows you to get a way better stretch at the bottom. And if you're like a wider person, or maybe you can't get your like you can't get your arms down fully to your sides, like you got, like, you know, when you do a rope, it kind of hits your thighs, you don't get a full opening.
Yeah.
So hold up, let me pull this up. I'm just gonna share my screen real quick. You see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, hold up. You see that?
Oh yeah.
Okay, hold up. These are not the ones. I might have to go on Amazon to do it though, so you can see, but just give me 1 second. But I got this, and it's like a night and day difference in terms of how my triceps feel. Right here, this thing. Freaking unreal. So this thing here, if I'm doing tricep extensions, I feel triceps more. Plus the long strap, it has a short strap and a long strap. The long strap helps me with when I'm doing pullovers, cable pullovers. So now I've been just addicted to accessories. So I find myself buying a lot of different things for the equipment. Like, you know, for those metals rolls, I have the handle. For this, I have those Vulcan straps, and then I have bands and things for banded pull-ups. But this is like, I would recommend this for a lot of people that don't have a good mind muscle connection with their tricep extensions. Getting something like this makes a huge difference.
We have that actually at our gym.
The longer strap?
Yeah, we have 2 of those.
That's like a game changer. I've noticed a big difference in the triceps. But I was gonna ask you, did you watch the France show?
I haven't had a chance. I just I think I saw a couple recaps of it, but I haven't had a chance to really sit down, look at anything this week.
So the guy that kind of came out of nowhere in the Arnold UK, Patrick Jansen. So he took first place.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And man, like I didn't see him beating James personally, but obviously we weren't there. But I think it was him, and then I believe Mark Hector took second. So who we're talking about here is this guy. Super grainy physique. You know what I mean? And I bet you, like, on stage, it looks totally different. Like, video and stage is totally different. But I did notice that his abs in the beginning are not like fully etched in. But man, he's got a freaky physique.
Is he Nigerian too, or no? No,
I'm not sure. I think he's from the UK. He's prepped by the Camel Crew.
Yeah.
So the guys at Oxygen Gym there. So anybody want to follow him, it's at Patrick Johnson _IFBB Pro. Man, he's in these shots. I'm like, okay, in this show for sure, I could see him being the winner.
Yeah.
But him getting that what is the second place at the Arnold? I don't know if I 100% agree. And then I think Hector got second here. So this guy's got potential.
Yeah.
If this guy puts it together, continues to grow.
Fucking his clavicles and shoulders.
Dude, the waist, man. If his waist was even tighter before.
Yeah.
But man, if he puts it together, he's going to be dangerous. UK is pumping out some crazy bodybuilders lately.
Yeah.
James, Hector, Patrick, even Andrew Jack. I think he was in Dubai. That's where he was before. I think he's actually based out of there, right? He's in the UAE or those areas. He's not in the US, or not from the US.
Isn't he there now because he's training with
No, man, I still think that he lives abroad.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because if he was in the States, I don't know why he would make the whole travel to do the Arnold UK. I would have just chilled till the Olympia. I think it's because the flight's not so far away. He was able to compete in that, right?
You think it's that, or you think it's just everyone saying he needs to stand next to some of the bigger dogs to really make a difference. And he just did that.
Man, like he beat Steve Kuklo in the Texas show.
But Steve's been downsizing too, no?
Yeah, he has, but like if you think about placings, Steve Kuklo's placed higher than anybody that was at the Arnold UK.
Yeah, true.
Right. I think Steve's been as high as like 5th or 6th in the Olympia. So man, and this guy, I feel like he's getting overlooked.
Who?
So
AK?
Jamie Christian. So actually, I thought he was a Punjabi bodybuilder because originally his tag was Jamie Christian Johal. His last name was Johal, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, there's a brown bodybuilder. He's a pro. Like,
you know, there's a lot of Joe Halls and Gills and stuff that are like not Indian, right?
Is that right?
Yeah, bro. Naman, Joe Hall, Gills. There's a few other last names that are actually Gaudiya names. So I think when all that stuff happened in India with like the British and stuff.
No. Yeah, I understand that part. Sorry, no. I don't know what you're saying. What you're telling me is brand new. But with this guy in particular, I messaged him. I'm like, it's cool to have like a brown bodybuilder. He's like, oh no, he's like, my mom is married to a brown guy. I remember I shot him a message before, but yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that. So there's other like people that have Mon, Johal as their last names that aren't upper name.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I know, they're nuts.
That's crazy.
Same thing with like the Philippines, and like they all have like, you know, Hernandez and all these like Spanish names and last names and everything. So there's something to do with that too.
That's crazy. But look at this guy, man. Like, how much more does this guy's gonna have to be? Like 350 pounds, 360 pounds on stage if he's gonna be comparable. He's 300 pounds here.
He's so tall too. That's the issue, right?
That's where I think it kind of sucks in bodybuilding.
It does for sure.
Right? Like if you want to be an open bodybuilder and you're 6 feet or taller, you have to be like much bigger to be comparable with some of these guys. Because for the listeners, most of these bodybuilders are like 5'9" to like 5'6".
Roughly,
they're not tall people. Majority of us are taller. These guys are just built like tanks. So unless you do classic physique, I think classic physique is where the height can be okay. You can be about 6 feet tall, right?
Yeah.
And then while we're still on the topic, so that was the France show, and Nick Walker is now working with Matt Jansen again.
Yeah, I saw that. That was sick. That was pretty cool.
I'm really happy about that because this is Nick Walker, the mutant. He's going to be making some noise at the Olympia this year. He's just an animal.
Do you have any idea why? Is there something happened with the other coach, or do you think it's just...
I mean, we'll probably find out in the future what happened. Maybe they won't talk about it, but man, like I'm a huge component. Like I believe in if it isn't broken, why try to fix it? So, you know, he switched around. I guess maybe I'm not too sure. It's all rumors, right? But the rumor was that he left because he wanted to be exclusive. He wanted Matt to only coach him and not coach any other people, right? I could be wrong about that, but
he admitted to that, didn't he?
Maybe I didn't follow it enough to really kind of be able to like find out the real reason. But I'm really happy that he's working with him again because Matt Jansen doesn't miss, man.
Oh man, and especially who he's got with him. He's got Brett coming up. What's his name? Justin's through him. Like
Justin, who?
Justin.
Shire? Yeah.
Like I saw this guy training with Brett, which was like, what's going on here, right? Yeah. And then all of a sudden, a couple of days later, I see this post, and it's like he's gone back to Matt, and Matt's comment was pretty epic too. I think it's something like work needs to be done, or work time to something.
Time to get back to work, basically. So this is Matt Jansen for the listeners. Sorry for the people listening, but he's one of the top coaches, in my opinion, in the industry. And he is one of the guys that's prepped people as of late, and his athletes always come in condition. He's also helping Sean Clarita for the last 6 or 7 years as well with nutrition. I think he's also doing the training now that John Meadows passed away. Yeah. But myself as a coach, especially in the bodybuilding field, I look up to this guy because he came up as a young coach. He took some flack, obviously, with some of the BS in the industry, but he's been able to kind of keep moving forward. I think he's one of the owners of Raw Nutrition.
Yeah.
You know, I got for his body of work, I have a lot of respect for it. I don't know him personally, but man, like this is Sean Clarita here. I believe he's gonna be 212, competing in the 212, but he's also qualified for the Open, which is crazy because he's like what is he, 178 pounds?
Roughly, yeah. But
this is like maybe 180s, or maybe 190 tops. Look at this guy.
They're not letting him do both.
Yeah, I know it sucks, but he's technically qualified for both.
Yeah. Right.
Like, there's the whole controversy with Derek Lunsford, who basically got the invite, and it's kind of it is 50-50. Before I thought like let it happen, right? Let Derek have it, because look at what happened with Big Ramy. Ramy got it, and he ended up winning the Olympia that year.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, like, then I heard Ian Vallier talking about it, and he was saying, hey, listen, man, there's a lot of shows left.
Yeah.
He could walk into a show, win the pro show, qualify, and then he can compete with the rest of us. Now he's going to have his full time to like eat up and then kind of take his time getting in shape for the show. And you know what? He probably doesn't even have to cut very much, because he's always been having to burn down muscle, right?
Yeah, this guy's...
Yeah, look at him, man. He's a freak too. Genetics is a real thing.
It is, man.
Like, we see people in our local level that take a lot of drugs, and they're not even close to these guys. And, it could be debated that like some of those guys, the guys that, cross all their T's and dot all their I's locally, that eat what they're supposed to eat and train the way that they're supposed to train and get the recovery therapy done, and they'll never look like this, because genetics is just a huge thing in this sport. But man, it's crazy how some of these guys look. Like, that's the difference between him and like a physique competitor, man.
Oh, it's insane.
It's nuts, man. And then last thing to wrap up the bodybuilding portion is I wanted to show this monster who everybody's talking about, and I'm happy, because when Meadows was alive, he was getting this guy ready, and he's going to say this guy's going to make some noise. So Samson Dowda from the UK. So what do you think, man? Where do you think he's going to place in this Olympia?
I can't say that, man. It's just too crazy. But I for sure,
top 10.
Comes in, I'd say no, top 10 for sure. But I think he's going to shake up the top 5.
Oh, you think he's going to get that deep into the top 5?
I think if he comes peeled and conditioned, I think he can shake it up. But then again, like,
bro, this is 11 weeks out, man.
I don't know how his back is looking though, like compared to like the top dogs right now.
Hold up, they were showing it. I kind of cut the video, but I'll let him cycle through his poses. But man, some of the areas where he may have been lacking, like I think condition and his back were the 2 areas that he needed to bring up, because he poses like better than most bodybuilders. So it's going to be nuts seeing this guy. And I think what's going to happen is, I freaking love Ian as a bodybuilder, but he's going to get pushed out a little bit.
Yeah.
So what I feel is Derek's going to make it in the mix. So I feel like the top 5 is going to be about the same.
Mm-hmm.
But 6, 7, and 8 is going to be tricky. I think William's going to be back in the mix. William Bonac, because he came back and he looked like a machine. Yeah. I think it's going to be Derek, William, and then Samson's going to be in that range. But this is him from the back, man.
The back is nuts, though. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but
no, like, he's brought it up.
Yeah.
Look when he hits the shot. He's brought it up, man. It's still the weaker area for him, for sure. But if he comes like in condition, peeled, and I think the other thing too was like, because this generation, it's a lot about the glutes being like, in.
Yeah.
I mean, like, some people, man, they look really shitty if they like get that lean. So, I mean, but I think he's going to make some noise, man. He's going to be up there. Like, look at this, man.
It's insane.
It's freaking nuts, man.
That's insane.
So I have him shaking it up. Unfortunately, I think Ian's going to get pushed out a little bit.
Yeah.
But who do you think? What do you think? Same top 5 as last year? So for the people listening, that follow bodybuilding, Big Ramy was number 1, Brandy Curry was number 2, Hadi Chupan was 3, 4 was Hunter Labrada, and 5 was Nick Walker. So I think the only thing that might happen out of that top, like those, like I think from 2 to 5, it can jumble around, but it'll be the same top 5.
I think Ramy's going to take first place.
Have you seen him lately?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Dude, he's nuts right now, man.
300 fucking, what is he, 330? What was it, 30 pounds? Or was that Samson that was 330?
They were both around the same weight, but here's the difference. Samson's like 3 or 4 inches taller than this guy.
Yeah.
Right. And you know what, man? We've already shown everybody. I might as well show you this too. It's hard for me to think that if he's this conditioned this far out, you know, like how could he's going to be peeled when it comes to the competition? Look.
Yeah.
This is how far out. This is 337 pounds, bro. Come on. Look at this guy. He has abs at 337 pounds.
That's insane.
Dude, I'm like in the mid to like 215. My abs are not showing this much. Let that sink in. This guy's over 100 pounds, probably more muscle than me.
I don't even think my abs showed at 140 pounds, bro.
It's crazy, man. Like, dude, he's coming this time. You know what it is? You remember in 2003 when Ronnie Coleman's like, all right, I'm gonna create a gap between me and everybody else.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to do, man. So I feel like he's going to take it this year. It's going to be, unless they miss the mark big time, which it's hard to see that. Look at the waist, bro.
Insane, man.
It's hard. He's got to come way off for him to lose.
Yeah.
And did you watch the Boston show that Brandon Curry competed in?
Yeah.
So like Brandon Curry didn't look his best there.
No.
Right. A lot of people thought William Bonac could have won that one. So, I mean, it's tricky now. I like the top 2 to 5 can jumble around. I think it'll still be the same people, but I think if Ramy comes in shape, it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But I'm excited. Like a lot of people were not interested in bodybuilding or saying bodybuilding's drying out. The competition's not there. And now it's like a resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
Who's somebody you're looking forward to coming up for the Olympia? Like, who do you really want to see?
I don't know. It's a lot of them, bro. Like, I just want to see what happens with these new guys coming in, like Samson, Andrew, all of them. Like,
so you just want to see the comparisons?
Yeah, I just want to see like the overall. Like, it's exciting. I haven't been this like pumped up for one in a while. Like, obviously, you're always pumped for the top 3, right? You're like, oh, so and so's going up, so and so's going up. But this is like, there's a good 10 coming in there fighting hard.
Right? Yeah, I want to see the top 10. I want to know who lands where.
Top 10. Like, I want to see who gets eliminated in the top 10. Yeah. Right? Like, it's gonna be crazy. So like where we land, like, I mean, getting 11th or 12th in the Olympia, like, people can talk all the shit they want, but you're the 12th in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care. Well, like, I mean, I'm not saying I don't see myself getting there, but let's say if I did ever in my life, if it was set that way, and I even hit like 15, 20. I'd laugh if somebody said something to me. I'd be like, buddy, I'm 15th, 20th in the world, man.
How many people are in the world?
Exactly.
How many billion people are in the world?
Yeah, like,
and you're the top 15 in terms of size, symmetry, shape.
No,
come on.
You can't just haters are gonna hate. Just that's all it is, man.
Yeah. But man, like I'm kind of interested to see now because I was like, man, Nick Walker might come off because he's with a new coach. Now he's back with Matt. So I think they'll pull it together. They got enough time. Yeah. Ramy's motivated.
Yeah.
So I think, like I said, the top guy is going to be Ramy. 2 to 5 will get jumbled around. And 6 to 10, I have no idea, man. I totally forgot about Andrew Jack. Andrew Jack's there too, man.
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy. But let's answer some questions then, man. First question is, what are your thoughts on the knees over toes guy or the ATG system?
Well, I mean, most of the time when I started getting to training, we were always told don't go past your knee, shouldn't go past your toes, right? It's hard for me to say, like, his points are correct and stuff like that, but like, I think it's just person to person for me. That's how I would say it. Like, I've done both. And some days I gotta squat for like where I stick my glutes out more because my knees are sore. And some days I can squat perfectly fine where my knees go past my toes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't follow it. I just do what feels good. And as long as I'm getting a pump and it's not hurting, that's what I'm doing. That's just my belief on it. I can't say that like he could be 100% right, but then the other way could be 100% right too. To each their own, whatever works for you. There's no set in stone thing I believe in, man. Like that's just me. I mean, I don't think, but
yeah. So for me, I always get nerdy with the new people. I want to know who they learn from and how did they come about this system.
Yeah.
But he's a student, or he followed the original strength sensei, Charles Poliquin. He's passed away now, but he's one of the original guys that, he put a lot of great information out there. Now, I haven't done the full program that they've made, but I've taken components of things that he teaches in the ATG system or whatever the name of the system is. But you probably do it as well. So for example, if you have knee issues, one of his main things is doing tibialis and anterior raises. So for the front of your calves, right? Which we've been doing for a long time now. We've been supersetting it with our calf training. That's one of the components. He's a big proponent of walking backwards with a sled or like a weight, which we used to do with, with Adrian when he used to do the strength and conditioning, right? So we've done some form of it, but in terms of, for the person asking the question, everybody that I've talked to, it's probably been about 15 or 16 people that have done the program. All of them have said that it either cured their knee pain or substantially decreased the amount of pain that they were feeling by doing this program. Now, do I think squatting with your knees super far forward or doing these crazy extreme lunges are going to be the best for everybody? That's debatable. But I think give it a shot. I think everybody should give it a shot, especially if you're dealing with knee problems. But usually when I deal with people with knee problems, I'm looking at their hip complex. I'm looking at their ankle mobility. I'm looking at, the quads, the hamstrings. I'm looking at weaknesses, what's going on with the glutes. Yeah. So I don't really focus directly on the knee. I focus on all the surrounding areas, right? But my brother's doing it. Thundy's doing it. And he said that it helped him big time with his knees because his knees were starting to bother him. Yeah. So, I mean, I would tell people, give it a shot and see how it is. And he has a lot of free material, so you don't even have to go ahead and go sign up for some subscription or whatever. Yeah. He's been very, very cool in a sense of providing information for free. So hop on his YouTube, look up some of the videos, give him a shot. Kind of, what's the worst that you can do? A lot of people are dealing with knee problems all the time, and they think they got to live with them forever. If there's something that can be done, give it a shot, right? Yeah,
mine right now are mangled, but again, those little things you just mentioned, walking backwards and things like that.
You have Osgood's slather too, right?
That's where it hurts from. It's not even anything else. It's just like that point, where the bone sticks out. That kills right now.
Yeah, that's a tough one to deal with, man.
It's like you can't even control it, right? So,
okay, next one. What martial art or sport should I put my kids into? My kid or kids into? So you have young kids, what martial art would you put your kids in, or what do you think would be good for them?
Anything that teaches them discipline. I mean, like jiu-jitsu is ideally where I want to cease to go into, and some bit of stand-up. But from everyone that I've talked to that has kids, everyone goes through the karate or some sort of setup like that, just because it's very generic. It's different where they get their accomplishments, they get their stripes. So it teaches them discipline. But I feel jiu-jitsu at the age that they're at right now, it's too much for them to comprehend, maybe, in my opinion, especially for their attention span. I just think that the martial arts in karate or some sort of program like that awards them with stripes and they do these tests and discipline and all that stuff. That's where I would start. And then from there, go on to something more advanced. And yeah, that's so anywhere where you can actually learn discipline. It's not just like ego, man. I think honestly, any martial arts teaches you discipline, because you go in there thinking that, you're you can scrap on the street, but you're gonna go box somebody and you should kick the top boxer in there. Good luck. Right? That's when you gotta learn discipline, and you gotta realize that it's not just about anger, it's not just about power. Stay composed, say all that stuff, but Karate's where I'd start, or some sort of form of that, and then move up from there based on it. Because what if your kid's not even into it, right?
True.
Like
True.
like
Yeah.
you can't say that your kid's gonna be into martial arts. It's just whatever they're into, they're gonna be into, right? So
Yeah.
karate is a good place to start, and then see how they respond. And if they're interested in it, then move on to something else.
Mhm.
But self discipline from it and the self defense, I think every kid should know. I don't believe in teaching your kids, oh, don't teach them any violence. No, man. Your kids should know how to protect yourself.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
So my opinion is, when it comes to martial arts, don't force your kids into anything they don't want to do. Perfect example of this is my favorite competitor and probably the greatest jiu-jitsu competitor of all times is Roger Gracie. And he didn't start doing jiu-jitsu seriously till his teens, like later teens.
Yeah.
And he became the greatest of all times.
Yeah.
And his cousins and relatives in the Gracie family, they started at like when they were born, 2 years old, 3 years old, they're already on the mat. And none of them were able to reach his level. And I think it's because, one, he's special, but like at the same time, I think you got to let them fall in love with the sport themselves. Now, I'm biased for jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu, if you ask me, in our local area and the Surrey Delta areas, I would have said like 5 or 6 years ago, don't put them in jiu-jitsu because there's not a lot of great kids programs where they're very detailed in terms of the instruction and actually building, strong kids, you know what I mean? That have a good, like, not so much the martial art, but like even the personality and dealing with the things that are going to be coming up in life. Now I think it's come a long way. So I remember when I used to teach people, I would actually tell people, like, if you have kids, we don't have a good program here. And I would recommend other schools because I would always direct them to the best place for it. Right. But if I had a choice, and this is going to be I might get some flack for it because I've been doing jiu-jitsu for so long, I would put my kids in Kyokushin karate or Taekwondo and find a good coach. So when I was training for a Taekwondo, is Inderjeet Bisla was a Taekwondo guy that would beat the crap out of all of us, right? I would not do a lot of MMA sparring, but Indy would hit you with all these wacky kicks, and he had a Taekwondo background. And I think if you integrate it well, it's good. Now for the kids, the discipline, showing up to class, the bowing, the respect, those aspects are good in that martial art. And then Kyokushin karate for sure, because shout out to Henry Sutella. He was the guy that, it's funny, he was like the owner of Sutella's, and at a time where I thought that, maybe I wasn't going to do jiu-jitsu and be good at it, he would be like, don't let anybody else tell you, you can't do this stuff. It was, those small conversations between two people that, if I didn't have that conversation, maybe I wouldn't have gone down the route of doing jiu-jitsu. I might have just stopped at that time. And he's a Kyokushin karate guy. But first things first, he's a martial artist and he's a tough guy. And he told me to do it. So I saw how he taught the kids, in his 70s, he was teaching classes. And I could see like kids were like, I better show up on time. Like, I got to get to class. I can't be late. Like he worked on their punctuality, how they stand, how they talk, like all that stuff. So for me, it's got to be, more than likely I would do something where like I roll with the kids at home so they know some jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But I'd start them off with like Taekwondo or whatever. But my biggest tip to parents is don't force them into anything. Because if you really want them to do a martial art and you force them to do it and they begin to hate it, they may never go back to it. And it could suck because they might have great talent for it and it might help them later in life and they won't do it because of bad experiences. Next question is, what tips do you have for maintaining joint health?
Take your supplements for sure. There's tons out there, see what works for you. But my biggest tips for joint health is listen to your body. I mean, ideally, that's the best thing you can do is listen to your body. Your elbow's hurting, take care of it. Don't just keep pushing. Don't keep lifting heavy. Don't keep locking out. Do the rehab. Go get yourself checked. And sometimes your joint hurting isn't just your joints, the muscles around it that might just be tight that need a release, right? For me, like when my IT band gets tight, my knees hurt. When my forearms are tight, I get numbness and my elbows start hurting. There's a lot of factors to it, but there's supplements out there like glucosamine. My two biggest supplements to go to, I think, for my joints or whenever I'm having issues like that, it's turmeric and omegas. Glucosamine has helped, but I can't tell you honestly if it's truly helped. But I know for a fact when I take a good amount of turmeric and omegas, I'm feeling a lot better for sure.
Yeah, I agree with all those things. I would just say that you need to make an emphasis on recovery.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, just don't keep taxing yourself. Like, your knee is hurting, and like both my knees were hurting the other day doing legs, so I just switched everything around. I just didn't do anything that was like fully hurting the knees. If I felt it was hurting, I switched out. Everyone's like, boys I was training with, like, keep going, keep going. I'm like, no, man, it's not worth it. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
So like what recovery is actually like a pretty broad thing.
It is. Yeah.
If you train super hard and you're doing the crazy periodized training and you're eating 6 meals a day or whatever you're eating and having all your supplements, but your sleep is horrible, that's not good.
Yeah.
Sleep should be like this one of the most important things for your recovery. But I have so many athletes that come to me and it's like, what supplement should I take? At what time should I take my hydration drink, or what time should I have intra-workout carbohydrates, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you sleep 3 hours a day. Like, that's the major problem. And then as soon as we spend like a year because their sleep is so far gone, and it's such an afterthought that after the year we get them up to like 7 hours, 8 hours. They're like, yo, I feel way better.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, are you drinking water?
Yeah.
It's so, you hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Are you drinking water? And it's like, do you realize that even if you're slightly dehydrated, like let's say, like, I think it's something stupid, like 2 or 3% or 4%, it can drop your performance by 20 to 30% being slightly dehydrated.
Yeah.
So people are not doing that. And then when they think hydration, they think just water.
Yeah, exactly.
What about the nutrients? Are you getting sodium? You know what I mean? Potassium, magnesium, all those things, right?
Yeah.
So all those things are important, but those are some things that people can think about. What are your thoughts on cardio, the best form of cardio? So HIIT, steady state, moderate intensity, using the treadmill, like even equipment versus all that stuff. What do you think's the best?
I couldn't say what's the best. I think it's each person is their own thing, and also comes down to your goals, right? Like, if you're trying to be a long distance runner, you're not going to go do HIIT cardio, right? You're going to go for long distance runs. You're going to go for distance, trying to burn fat.
I think this person's asking just for like fat loss.
Fat loss, again, like, it depends on your goal. Like, if you're coming from a bodybuilding side of things where you got a lot of muscle mass, you're not trying to lose muscle, slow and steady might be best for you. But I get bored with that. I can't do half hours of standing there walking unless I'm listening to something. Then I can. But I'd say HIIT cardio. Do that 2 or 3 times a week, fasted. I think that'll make the biggest difference. And that can be on anything. Like, I do bike, or I'll do Stairmaster. I can't do treadmill because I don't feel like it benefits me in any way, and I'd hurt more than anything. Mm-hmm. Lower back start hurting or whatever else is going on. So I'll do stepper or bike, and that's just 1 minute hard, as fast as you can, and then 1 minute relaxed. And I do that for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
That's what's worked best for me. But I noticed for sure fasted cardio, even though people say, there's people out there that say do cardio whenever, doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. I'll be honest, I've noticed a huge difference doing cardio fasted. And that can be fasted after your workout too, because generally after your hour and a half workout, your stomach's already empty. So it does kind of, unless you're drinking an intra, I don't know if that counters it, but.
Yeah, fasted cardio is like, the science is like, it's like such a small percentage, like better, very small, like minuscule.
Yeah.
But there's also the mental process of it. Everybody that I talk to that does fasted cardio feel like the rest of their day is cruising.
100%, man. When I was doing 5 a.m. workouts, like cardio sessions in the morning before work, I was honestly the best year of my life. Yeah. One of the best years, like, just because like you're setting my mood, setting everything for the day. I'd get up 5 a.m. and do my cardio, and I'd already be like ahead of people saying, "Oh, people are still in bed." I'm already on my way to work. I've already done my cardio, and then I'd go do my weights afterwards. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't beat myself saying, "Oh, I didn't do cardio today. I didn't do cardio today." It was done. I didn't have to worry about it, because after the workout, it's always tough, right? Mm-hmm. Or timing lately, it's hard. But I mean, again, it's just your goals. What's your goal? And that's what your cardio should be. And there's no limitation, man. You want to go for a run, you want to do sprints outside, do it. You want to go for a hike, go. Cardio is cardio, I think. Just has a preference. Some people play sports, some people go martial arts. I mean, whatever you want to do, just know what your goal is, talk to someone about it and plan it properly and just get to it.
Okay. So I've had as a coach, it's changed. Before I would just tell people one mode is, it doesn't matter. Earlier on in a prep, when you have a lot of food, or even if it's not a prep for a competition, but you have somebody trying to lose weight, I try to go more with the HIIT cardio side of things because they have more food in their body. They can recover from it, because HIIT cardio is actually going to damage your legs from a muscular damage perspective way more than moderate or low intensity. And then even when I transition away, like let's say their legs are getting beat up and they're not getting enough fuel because the food's getting slowly cut, I actually don't even do low intensity, because I've had people, like I have them doing 30 minutes of cardio and I watch them and I'm like, you're barely pedaling one pedal like step in like 40 seconds. You're just barely moving. I think the ongoing joke with like the pro bodybuilders was like Flex Wheeler cardio, where he would just like take a step every minute. He had like the laziest cardio ever, right? So what I do now is I usually program for people moderate intensity cardio. And the way that we gauge it is they do 120 beats per minute for their heart rate. Because once their heart rate's at 120 or slightly above, I call that moderate intensity steady state. And I usually have people do that. And the HIIT cardio, it is specific to your goal for sure. So I have people in the off season when they're trying to grow, I still have them do HIIT cardio 3 times a week, but it's like 12 minutes. So 6 minutes hard and like 6 minutes light. It's basically like nothing. But what it does is it stimulates the appetite and they get hungry and they're able to eat more. So it does matter what stage. But I now lately err in the side of doing more moderate intensity steady state with about 120 beats per minute or a little bit higher. And then if you're beginning and you're like, you just want to kickstart everything, then I usually start with a HIIT cardio. Steady state is something that I'm kind of like, low intensity steady state is something I'm just trying to pull. If you're going to do that, I'd much rather you just go for a walk.
That's like, exactly.
And just increase your NEAT. Like, what's the point of you sitting on a bike and barely pedaling for 30 minutes when you could just go for a walk and it's not going to destroy your CNS and you can still lose weight? Because that's another underrated form of cardio, walks, getting your steps in.
I've been listening to a lot of the pros too, like them being so anal about, I had to do stepper, but now they're like, I just get up in the morning and go walk my dog.
Man, it's because like, okay, like somebody like yourself, right? The people listening don't know, but like I've coached you, I've seen your physique, and because of your knee issues, your quads, we have to work really hard to keep them full. And if I tell you to do HIIT cardio, they start disappearing.
They do,
Right. But if we say just do moderate intensity or going for a walk versus doing HIIT cardio, if you can kind of offset it and get the steps in, that's going to keep your legs bigger, fuller, and you're going to be able to perform better. And walking is like nothing, man. Like you could go walk the dog, you could go take a walk with the family. I have some clients doing an evening walk with their family, and they're like, my family loves it. I never used to do this before. So now their fitness goal, where they seem selfish all the time, they're actually giving back and spending time with their family, right? So, steps is something that I would recommend for people. Next one is your general thoughts on supplements and any recommendations. So before Sonny answers, we're not doctors, we're not dietitians. So this is just things that we would do. We're not giving professional advice to anybody, but take it with a grain of salt. But this is kind of like what we do from our experience, but not a real recommendation in terms of like coming from a professional.
I mean, that's a very generic question, in my opinion, because they didn't really say what they're asking about supplements for.
I think it's just general supplements that you would take regularly. Like
if I was training or not training?
Yeah. So like, let's say you're an average gym goer, you train 2 to 3 times a week and, you're just trying to get fit and shape. Like what regular supplements would you be taking? And then maybe some general guidelines.
For myself, my daily, I got my omegas, vitamin C, D, zinc and magnesium, vitamin E. And then there's a few other things I do take, some herbal supplements, things like that. But as for like supplement, otherwise like creatine, It's something I've struggled, I think, for years, where I just thought it was going to get me fat, water retention, blah blah blah, all that stuff that they talk about it. And honestly, I think it's just last 6 months that I've used it religiously every day, except non-training days. And I've noticed a difference. And I can't say that I'm getting more water retention thing. I'm actually noticing my muscles, my strength, like everything's being more full, and like it's recovering and getting the nutrition it needs. If that makes any sense. Because all those years I did creatine, I'd take it for like a couple of weeks. Oh no, I'm getting water retention, but not pulling in that it could have just been that binge eating that we did on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
Or I'll switch over to all the other type of creatine that people are talking about now, that doesn't cause water retention, etc. Blah blah blah. But you can't beat what monohydrate does. Those are my go-to supplements, and turmeric. That's in there like all the time. I take that morning and I take that at night. Other than that, those are my main go-to. I don't go beyond that. I used to take multis. I just find if you take multis, yeah, they work, but it's just like you're just loading yourself up with stuff that you might not even need. So just really get to the bottom of what you're lacking, maybe get your blood work done, see your symptoms, do your research. I don't think everybody needs a multivitamin, but I mean, if you're just a person that lacks a bad diet, doesn't eat healthy, then sure, maybe a multi might benefit you.
Okay.
But if you're eating what you're eating and you're generally a person that watches what they eat and you're making sure you get your nutrition, I don't think everybody needs a multi. But those are my go-to as of right now. I don't do much more than that. And obviously, like in between parts of when I'm cutting and not cutting, I'll add things in, like I'm buying a few different things. I've added maca root recently, which is something I take every day. It just helps energy, focus, and stuff like that. But that's about it, man. It's not much. Like I don't go crazy with supplements. Pre-workouts I've cut out. I don't mess with pre-workouts anymore. The only pre-workouts I do take are like pump related stuff that just gives me the body, just the blood flow, get more better pump. If I'm really tired, I might take a black coffee or pop a caffeine pill. But that's it. I don't mess around with anything else. Like it's got beta-alanine and all these other crazy things in it. I actually found it hindered my workout more than anything, because it'd give me jittery. I'd get these pumps before, like my chest would get pumped. Some of these products are so intense. I'd get a pump in my chest, 5-6 reps in, and I couldn't even complete the sets.
Like it's too much of a pump?
Yeah, like it was just like I've read that a few places too. People are like, these high doses of pre-workouts and all this stuff, it can actually cause you more damage. I mean, hinder your workout just because it's so much stuff going on in there that like it's just forcing the blood in there before your set's even completed. If that makes sense. Like I would do chest on, like if I don't even take the blood workout, the pump pre-workout on chest days anymore.
Okay.
Just because if I take it after I'm done my flies, my chest is so full that like when I go do presses, like 4 or 5 reps in, it's already like it's done. It's like I can't even get it up anymore because like the pump is just insane. So I'll only take that stuff on like leg days where I do need more blood flow, arm days, shoulder days, and back I don't really mess with either. Back I just go at it. But
okay.
I don't know, that's about it.
Oh, okay. I mean, okay, so things like pre-workout, creatine, especially, those are person to person. Creatine's been changing. I knew it was going to happen. Where before there were so many myths with it that it's bad. Water retention, kidney stones was one that was really like a common myth during our time when we were younger. Now people are using it as like a health supplement. You know what I mean? And glutamine was another one where it helped with muscular like recovery and repair, but now it's used more as a digestive aid. You know what I mean? Like I think the clinical dose is 20 grams of glutamine in the day, and it helps with your lining of your stomach and things like that, which I do use personally. Now, in terms of general guidelines, it's hard because it depends on what your goals are. Like I said before in the beginning of the question, we're not giving anybody any like, oh, you have to take this. This is kind of just what I like to do. Vitamin D3, 2,000 to 5,000 IU, depends on the size of the person. I like to do that. Vitamin C, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams. That's also for the size of the person, female to male. Magnesium, and there's like 4 or 5 different types of magnesium. So it kind of depends on which one. You want to look at the ones, some help with sleep, some help with hydration. So I do about 300 milligrams for women and 400 for men. Let me think. Omega-3 is one of the best ones. You could do fish oils, or if you're vegan or vegetarian, you could do it from an algae source. And that one depends heavily on your body weight as well. So you could be doing anywhere from 2 to 6 grams a day. I have some guys that are 250, 260, they're having upwards of 5 to 6 grams of fish oil a day. And I think that's about it. I might be missing one. You could do probiotics as well, but that's a situational based thing. One that really helped me, especially when I was trying to do higher protein type diets, was betaine, HCl, and pepsin. And it helped me kind of digest my food better.
Yeah.
So that was another one. But it's kind of hard to give guidelines for supplements, because if you have high B12 and high D3 and all that stuff, and we give you more, it's actually bad. Mm-hmm. It can actually be toxic for your body. So what's the point, right? So that's kind of general guidelines for that stuff. In terms of the next question, it's not even a question. The guy just said vegetarian bodybuilding, period. So I guess you can take a crack at it. I guess the question is, can you bodybuild or build muscle as a vegetarian?
I don't think
not even bodybuild. You could be a strength athlete. You could be a marathon runner, whatever. But can you make it happen as a vegetarian?
I think you can. I don't think there's anything against it. I know tons of people that are vegetarian bodybuilders, and they are pretty big guys. Mind you, I don't know, and they will not admit if they're on shit. They're on gear. They're on whatever they're on, right? So
that's the same with people that eat meat too, though, right? Like some
guys I mean, like when it comes coming from a vegetarian side of things, like I've tried it. I've used to be vegetarian on some days and whatnot. Drinking shakes all day doesn't help. I find it just, my body didn't get the nutrition it needs. I find it's tough. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's not doable.
Okay.
I think it's doable. I think if you are very precise with your calculations of your food and everything that needs to be done, I think it can happen. But I don't know how where you're gonna get, because I don't know if there's any top tier bodybuilders that are vegetarian. I know there's tons of pro bodybuilders that are IFB pros that are vegetarian, but they're also on gear. So I don't know how far you're gonna get just naturally, but that's where I'm at with that, because I do know lots of vegetarian people that lift, but they're not that big.
Yeah,
they're lean. Don't get me wrong, they're shredded. But again, that's if you're trying to become a bodybuilder and big, I don't know how that's gonna go, because I haven't met anybody that's
okay. So can you do it? Yes, you can.
Yeah, you can.
But the key terms are appropriately planned.
Yeah.
Making sure that you're getting the foods in, getting your essential amino acids, getting in different micronutrients, and which micronutrients you actually get quite easily on a vegetarian type diet. But I've noticed that people like overconsume fiber, and then they're bloated all the time with vegetarian type diets, because they just go default to like higher fiber foods, and most vegetarian foods are higher fiber. I've done this. So I was 5 years vegetarian, and then 2 of those years I actually went vegan. And then like, it was more so like as an experiment to see if I could do it. And I did do it. But the key is appropriately planned. So, man, just off the top of my head, a lot of people are like, what do I eat for protein? Come on, you could do it. You got to just do a quick little Google search, and there's a lot of stuff you can do. You got extra firm tofu, you got tempeh, seitan, you have all the beans and lentils, you have pea protein isolate. You know what I mean? If you're a vegetarian, you have eggs. You can also have dairy. If you're a vegan, then you don't have those 2 things. But, you know, like at this day and age, if you tried to do this like maybe 15, 20 years ago, it would have been really hard. Now you can do it, and even restaurants are becoming friendly for vegetarians and vegans. I think the key is, though, like, it's still limited. As meat eaters, we have way more options in terms of like our options to go eat at restaurants, or even just like food options. But like for the most part, most people should be eating like single ingredient whole foods. They're going to be healthier for you. But as a vegetarian and a vegan, you absolutely can. But the key thing is appropriately planned programs, knowing that you're getting those things. And if you want to do this on your own, just hop on an app called Chronometer. That app actually tells you, you can program in like your daily RDA for vitamins and minerals like B12 and C and D3, and you can plug in your vegetarian diet if you're a vegetarian or vegan and see if you're like where you're deficient. And if you're deficient in any nutrients, you can just either supplement or you can put in those foods so you hit those targets. So the key is going to be definitely appropriately planned, but you can do it. It's just limiting. You know, for me, it's easier to hit my macros eating meat. And like, you know, it's easy. Like if I have to hit certain amount of protein, certain amount of carbs, certain amount of fats, I can do that with olive oil, rice, and a meat. Whereas as a vegetarian, it's like, oh, I did tofu. Well, now your fats are over, right? You were supposed to keep your fats low on this meal. So like little things like that, they have a lot of trace calories, but it's just about planning. You can do it. It's just a little bit more challenging in the planning part, but definitely doable. And it is harder to get bigger. Like if you're trying to talk about like a 250, 260 guy, I wouldn't say it's harder to get bigger. I just don't see it that often. I know a lot of physique guys that are vegan, vegetarian.
Yeah.
But you don't see a lot of like pro bodybuilders. But mind you, most people never want to get that big.
That's the thing. Like that's what I'm trying to say is like nobody wants to walk around at 260, 270, just pure muscle. A lot of people just don't think that's attainable and looks good or whatever. But that's what I'm just trying to say is your goals. But I think if you eat, you're like an eggetarian, that's what I call them. You eat eggs, then I think you'll be fine.
I think they're called lacto-ovo vegetarians. So they have dairy and eggs.
Eggetarian, man.
That works too.
Or vegetarian.
Next one is what is better, high rep workouts or low rep, or higher volume or lower volume?
That's so generic. I mean, it depends on your goal, depends on the person. I've done both. I've done the whole 21 rep thing where like every set is 21 reps of 4 to 5 sets, right? And I loved it. I found it was hard to get used to and accepting the fact that like you're only doing like 50s or 60-pound dumbbells, right? But mind you, after I was done doing that for a couple of months, I went back to just 6-7 reps, 6 to 8 reps. I was stronger. So there are benefits to both. It just depends on what works for you, how your body responds. Some people respond better at low reps. Some people respond better at high reps. My philosophy lately is doing my first couple of exercises, at least the first one, heavy, 6 to 8 reps, 8 to 10, whatever it is. And then the last ones are just like 12, 15 plus reps just to get as much blood into that muscle. That's where I found the balance. I find works the best for me, at least. But I don't think there's one was better than the other. It's just, you have to experiment, man. You can't just go by what people are saying. Do both, but do it for like 3 months. Don't just do it for a week and the next week go back to heavy. That's not going to do anything for you, right?
Yeah.
Stick to it for a bit, and go from there and see how you respond. Take your pictures, note things down. Like, are you more full? Are you feeling sore? Are your joints hurting? That's the best. I mean, I can't say one's better than the other. They all work equally.
And that's what the science backs too now. So Brad Schoenfeld is a researcher and he's doing a lot of work in terms of this realm of hypertrophy. You probably remember earlier on, it's like, hey man, you got to do the muscle building reps, 6 to 12 reps.
Yeah.
When you're, and that's the muscle building reps. Now that number's gone from 6 to like 20 or 30.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not actually the repetition so much as your intensity. Oh, you can't even say intensity technically. But like your proximity to failure. So you don't even have to go to full failure to get a full muscle building signal and like max it out. Like I think the number's like 85%, 85 to 100%. So 100% being failure. So 1 to 2 reps in the tank or a failure, it all works. Right. And let's talk bodybuilding, man. Like Jay Cutler was a high volume guy. He was Mr. Olympia. Dorian Yates was super low volume. He was Mr. Olympia. It all works.
It does.
Now, what I've learned though aside from the very important aspect of exercise sequencing, like how we were talking about in the beginning of the podcast about, putting the right exercise in the beginning and get a pump, get a mind muscle connection. I think that's super important regardless of your level.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's basically like are you taking your sets to failure, right? And you could do that with super high reps, super low reps. Now, the reason why I blend all of them together is because you're going to find yourself, if you do low reps like Dorian did. Dorian had a series of injuries that kind of did it. And when I was doing the high intensity stuff, the heavy duty, low rep stuff, I got very strong, very big, but there's some very close calls where I could have had some serious injuries. And now what I do is I blend them. So I do some lifts are like not even close to failure, just warm up. Some are, 6 to 8 reps heavy duty. And then some are as high as like 15, 20 reps. Man, if you're doing cluster sets, you're doing like up to 30, 40 reps. If you're doing a DC style Widowmaker set, you're like dying in the leg press with just the amount of volume you're doing, right? So just like you said, it all works. But you can't say one is superior than the other because, you got guys that are succeeding both ways. Nick Walker switched over to higher volume and he's still progressing like crazy. Kamal, the 212 guy, dude, that guy's like 51 years old. He does super high volume. He has no serious injuries and he's still competing at the highest level. So
I feel like you got to take in mind too, like lately I was like, okay, my joints are hurting, my body's sore. I'm going to do high rep. So I would try to go back to the 21 rep thing I used to do before. And mind you, right now, I can't even do it because my shoulders are so tight. I can't go past that 15, 16 reps without it burning. So again, the balance right now is working for me the best is crank out as much heavy as I can at the first and then finish off with a pump. But I just want to stress to people is don't just think that a pro or high level person is doing this, it's going to work, because you got to understand, they're enhanced, right? So being on growth hormone and all that stuff, it makes a world of a difference.
So before you continue, sorry to cut you off. The young kids think that, I hear this, that the gear is what makes you stronger. They're not understanding that the gear is helping you with your recovery ability. Mm-hmm. So you could do a crazy leg workout with super heavy weights. And let's say we did the same thing and I'm not enhanced, I'd be crippled the next day. Because you are enhanced, you're like, yeah, I could do a workout again. Right? It's your recovery ability that goes through the roof. You're like, you feel like Wolverine or something, man. Like that's what I hear from these guys, where you just like regenerate. I don't know if you watch X-Men, but
I do. But being depending on what you're on too. But I mean, your food, everything. Food is the biggest thing for you. The more you eat, the stronger you're going to be.
Highest anabolic thing, man, is your food.
Yeah, like, and that's what I stressed to everyone. Like, just it's not about the dosage, man. Like, you take as low as the amount you can, and that's where it should be at. But like again, so just what I'm going to stress to people is don't just think that so and so is doing it's going to work. Try out different things, man. Maybe you don't even need to do bodybuilding style workout. You can do like functional movement and get huge. Mm-hmm. Like, see what's out there. We've done it all. Like, we went trade with Adrian, rest in peace. But like, what he did, I felt like I grew the most. Why? Only because all the injuries we had, he was working past them, but still doing the same movement. Mm-hmm. Like our lats we're opening up.
No, what I'll say about that for Adrian was it was novel, meaning it's a new stimulus. We never ever did training like that before.
Yeah.
And as soon as you do that, our bodies were like, this doesn't hurt. We can actually push it.
That's what I meant. Like,
we blew up, yeah.
Because like it was like we were still targeting our upper chest or targeting the lower lat, whatever it was we were targeting, but it was in the most weirdest way. But it worked. Yeah. And like I felt the most mobile, like strong, like now, like I walk around, I feel jacked, but I'm like, ow. Right? Like, oh man, ow. Like, shoulder hurts, that hurts. It's like, fuck. Yeah. But back to the point though, I don't think either are better. You just have to see what works for you. They both work equally good. You got to play around. See what works for you, but try for a few months. Don't be 1 week this, 1 week that. Even if you're doing like a workout, don't just incline press dumbbells this week and the next week you're doing barbell. You got to keep it at incline dumbbells for a bit. Don't just keep switching around, because then you got to shock your body, but don't shock it every week.
Mm.
Like that doesn't make any sense because then there's no progression. You're not going to know what's going on, right?
Yeah. So to sum it up, we agree. Low volume works, high volume works, but it kind of depends. You gotta look at it. If you're getting injured all the time doing low volume, maybe try a higher volume approach, but still keep it in the proximity of hitting failure or right around there, and you'll still get progress. Now, before we move on to the next question, I think it's going to be super valuable to talk. Like if you've been lifting for about 4 to 5 years, maybe you got some nicks and knacks. I think following the mountain dog training protocol of training, especially for the bigger muscles, is going to help people big time. Because you still got those guys that are like, my shoulders are killing me, and they're doing flat bench press first.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm just going to fight through the pain. And, eventually you're going to reach a point you won't be able to train anymore if you keep trying to do that. So I'm going to try to just narrow it down real quick. I don't want to take too much time on it. So we'll take like chest, for example. The first exercise in his training philosophy is it should be a mind muscle exercise, something that you can connect mentally and get a sick pump and feel all the fibers in the chest. Mm-hmm. So for me right now, that's a cable fly or a pec deck. For Sonny, it might be a dumbbell press, right? It could be like a slight incline, slight decline, whatever angle works, and you do a dumbbell press.
Yeah.
And then that's going to get you a good pump. Is relatively like the injury risk is low. And you'll get the muscle nice and warm, right? And you could even do a failure set on here with a little bit higher rep range. So if we're talking about rep ranges here, you might do something that's anywhere from 10 to 15 reps for your top set. So it could be 10 to 12 or 12 to 15. It really depends on you. Next exercise could be the compound lift. Now that the muscle's warm, it might be an incline barbell press, could be a flat, could be a decline, depends on the angle you want. Then the third exercise he does is like a crazy pump exercise. This is where you're going to do your cluster set, your drop set, your rest pause set. And generally speaking, you'll go to it with an exercise that you won't hurt yourself. So this could be a machine press, incline, flat, like machine press could be in the Smith machine, whatever you want to do. And then his last exercise is a stretch component. So it might be a pec fly, incline dumbbell fly. It could be, I call them Lesnar push-ups, where you prop up your feet and hands on chairs and you do very, very deep push-ups. So that's kind of how he does it for a lot of his major muscles. And if you follow that formula, you'll find that you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm training the muscle hard and I feel like it's warmed up. I'm not hurting myself as much. Arms and shoulders, you can attack it with a lot of volume. I found over the years, man, trying to do like 80-pound side laterals. I've done them. My delts never grew with that. And this is something me and Sonny laugh about. He's like, dude, why don't you pull the weight back, do like perfect form? And he's like, you'll still be doing laterals for like 45, 50 pounds and your shoulders will grow. But when I was younger, I was more hard headed. I'm like, oh man, the heavier I lift, like Ronnie Coleman's doing 70, 80. So if I can do it, my shoulder's going to be as big as his. And sure enough, when I pulled it back down to like 30-pound dumbbells, 35-pound dumbbells in that range with perfect form, my delts grew, the side delt grew. So it's like some people are just, they're going to hear us talk and they're not going to listen because they're young and dumb like we were. I'm just trying to tell you, like, we've both been, like, I was at my peak 265, right? Big boy, and I perma bulked and I lifted heavy. Anybody that trained in the gym during our time knew that we trained hard. So we're just trying to pass on the knowledge of like, hey man, like you guys can increase your longevity. You can develop a way better physique than us. Like that's the goal. Like we're trying to help people like build a way better physique than us. So
well, it is, man. And without injuries.
Yeah, because we're fortunate that we didn't have any knock on wood, we didn't have any catastrophic injuries that we can't like go to the gym anymore, right? Fortunately, we're still able to work around it. But there's young people, even guys that don't have injuries, man, learn from this stuff. So then you guys can keep doing it more long term and have some longevity with it too.
Yeah.
Next one is stay disciplined. Have we answered that question?
Yeah, we've done that. Oh no, that was more on organization.
More on time. Okay. So how do you stay disciplined?
It's a battle, man. Like, everyone's different. Some people are just naturally born disciplined, or some people have done something in their like in their early years, like a sport. I find people that were athletes at a young age that played at a decently high level have way more discipline than the average person. Why I say that is because to get to that level, they had to do something. They had to be a certain way. For me, I stay disciplined, just reminding myself of what my goals are every day. Right? I mean, I'm not perfect, far from perfect. I miss my days. I miss cardio. I miss some meals here and there, whatever happens. But that's because my life isn't designed towards bodybuilding. My life isn't, because it's not ideal for me. It's not like something I'm gonna jump on and try to get to a pro level at this age, right? Like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to look good and just help people around me and just be happy. But discipline from that is just, it's consistency. And I think one thing that really helped me was downloading that app. What was it called again? The one where
the Habits apps?
Yeah, the Habits app. So that's what's really dialed things down for me, was downloading this app on the iPhones. It's called Habits. I'm not sure if Samsung has a version of it, but it was just an app that you write down your goals. You write down, not goals, but like your habits that you want to build to get you to your goals. Like, for example, one of mine was do my cardio, was read, listen to this, listen to that, or get my meals. So there's all these things I had to get done every day at the end of the day. And the app, you go out to it and you check off what you've done. And then it gives you a track record of like, okay, you've done 360 days of on habits, or you missed a day. Now you start from scratch. What is your run? So those kind of things help you, because you have to have it written down. You can't just go on thinking you're going to be disciplined without constantly having the reminder in front of you. You got to do your weekly check-ins, accountability, whether it's with your spouse, whatever the goal is, you got to have some sort of accountability somewhere to stay disciplined. But discipline is going to come from you. Like, it's how bad you really want it, because no one can chase and watch what you do on your own time. Right? Like, you can train someone, like, we've done it. We've trained people always come in, they'll get the sickest workout, bro. Yeah, this and this and this, and then they go home and they're screwing up their diet. Well, I can't help you with that. Right? We've given you the tools. We've given you what needs to be done, what needs to be eaten, but I can't control what you're putting in your mouth. Right? Like, if you're around me, sure, I might slap it out of your hand, but I got a life. I can't be like that around you. I can't be following you around 24/7, right? So discipline for me, that's what helped me, was writing it down and just having it in front of me and just checking in. Like, with my fitness, it's been with you, to check-ins, with things at home, with the wife, has been check-ins, like just things where I know where I need to go check in, where I'll know if my discipline's there. Because if I'm not performing, you see it. It's straightforward. And I don't think you can teach discipline, can you? I don't think so. I think it's just one of the things you have to build yourself.
I think people say you can't teach discipline, but I'll be honest, like, I'll let you finish it off. But like, I had to teach myself, like, I had to learn what discipline really meant, but
yeah,
I'll let you finish it.
Yeah, like, you have the tools of what discipline means, what it, and all that, like the habits, all these things that can help you. But I don't think, like, genuinely anyone can just sit there and teach you how to be disciplined. It's just really going to come down to, like, are you going to let your wants be better than your needs, higher than your needs? Are you going to chase these small pleasures now, then sacrifice for, like, what you're chasing later on, right? Delayed gratification and all that. So those kind of perspectives and things is what helps you stay disciplined, I feel. Like, look at all these guys that are, like, at the high levels in bodybuilding, even, like, how much they're sacrificing. They don't go to events. They don't see people, like, I think the newer guys might be, but there's a time that the certain generation didn't do anything. Just MIA from family events, from MIA from everything. But they stayed disciplined because they knew where they were headed, right? So it's your goal. It's your life. Whatever your goal of life, your dream is, man, lock it down. Find out what you need to get there and just stay disciplined to do it. Right? Like, just hit the goals, succeed in the plan. If you knock off everything that needs to be done in the plan, you're disciplined. I don't think there's anything other way to put it. Like, as long as you have a plan in place and you're checking it all off every day, disciplined. Okay. That's like,
so I agree with all that. So I'm just gonna piggyback on some of that stuff. So 3 things come to mind right now when I'm thinking about what helps me stay disciplined in certain things. First, you have to have a degree of self-confidence.
Yeah.
Now, people are going to be like, what the heck does that mean? I believe that self-confidence is you keeping the promises that you make to yourself, right? If you tell yourself you're going to do something and you do it, that's going to increase your self-confidence.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Now, what's like the lens you look through is through your values. So what does that mean? Like, what's the meaning behind that? If spirituality, meditation, God is on the top of your list, that let's say that's what you say, but there's never a moment where you meditate during the day or pray or whatever it might be that you do, and it's an afterthought. There's a clear contradiction there, right?
Yeah.
Between your values. So you kind of need to know through the lens of your values, you can kind of answer questions a lot easier. That's something that I've had to do lately, where it's like, if something comes in front of me, like a business proposition, how's it going to affect my faith? How's it going to affect my family? How's it going to affect my business? Things like that. You know what I mean? So I can easily I can answer that question quite quickly now because I have those values that, that's like my hierarchy. So first, keep the promises to yourself and have a clear understanding of your values. Now, let's say your goal is to lose weight, but people make these lofty things that they're going to do, like these lofty goals of, I'm going to lose 50 pounds and let me start following this crazy. First, I'm going to do a keto diet and lose 20 pounds. And then from there, I'm going to cycle calories. I'm going to lose another 30 pounds. And I always tell people, like, be honest with yourself. So a lot of the time I have people that kind of work with me. And literally the first thing that I do is I say, I need you to drink a liter more of water every day. Nothing else. No protein, no macros, no walking, no nothing. Then the next week it's like, okay, let's try to add on another one. By the end of that 3-week period, they're like, I've already lost 3 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm drinking more water. I'm not drinking, as much like pop or soda because I'm trying to hit my water mark, and I'm walking to the washroom more often because I'm drinking more water. So I'm getting a little bit more steps in. Yeah. And because I feel good drinking this water, I feel like I want to go for walks more often. So twice a week I go for a walk.
Yeah.
And that one change in and of itself is what makes the difference. So I took something, rather than doing like a crazy macro diet with like 50 different things, I just took one variable. So the key is for people to understand, like, take your goal, reverse engineer it, and just keep backing down until you find something that, like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like, there's been a scenario where I've had somebody literally like, they're like, I want to work out. And all we would make them do is put their shoes on, walk one lap around their block, which takes like less than 5 minutes. And that's where we started.
Yeah.
Right. And now we've gotten that person down 35 pounds and they're going to the gym and their whole lifestyle's changed. So just back it down. Like, you guys don't have to start off doing like 20 different things. Right. So we've been on for a while, but I wanted to talk about a few subjects, right? Because they've been popping up, and I've been thinking about it a little bit lately too, since we have young kids, and the kids are eventually going to grow up. They're going to go through some of the things that we went through when we were young. So I remember I don't know if it was the first episode or the second episode, you were saying that you had to do, your parents gave you a lot of like different medications from the doctors, they were saying, right?
Yeah.
So exactly. I don't know what the question was, what it was about specific. How do we get on that topic?
The question was, what made you get into fitness?
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned that early on you were dealing with your eczema, skin issues. That was a major thing for you. So maybe like if you could like elaborate on that stuff, because I do have a few clients, older clients, not even young kids. They have some acne issues. They have particular issues that they're dealing with, maybe GI issues, and like, they don't want to go out when they flare up. And maybe if you could like talk about, what some of the things that you had to go through, and then how you kind of came to here now, and you're kind of using it towards positive stuff. You're getting in the gym, you're training, like maybe even some of the obstacles that you had to go through, because I know that, like, how young were you when you first started taking some of the medications for your skin?
I couldn't tell you. I don't even know what age you started.
I
know like eczema, it came at like age 3, and then it was just really bad for years and years. And
so your parents and stuff were like trying to see like what medication would fix it. So you tried various ones, right?
Yeah, like they obviously go to the docs. Like I was at like the craziest dermatologist. I was seen by dermatologists from everywhere, man. People from states would come in for some other meetings, and like my doctor was like some top dog doctor at Children's Hospital. She put in referrals, especially for me to be like, you need to see this guy. Like his stuff's really bad. And like, man, I spent week, 2 weeks at the hospital at times just by myself. Them just running tests, observing me, see what's triggering it, having me on all these crazy diets. Um, they parents just tried whatever they could, man. They like it was, and everything that the doctors are giving, it was just it wasn't to cure the eczema because eczema has no cure based on what science says, right? But eczema is all environmental, diet, and there's triggers for it. For me, over the years now, I've noticed processed foods, stress, those kind of things that are gonna make your eczema flare up. Right. So eating a wholesome diet, just staying away from sugar, staying away from anything processed has helped a lot, making sure, like I said earlier, my supplements, omegas, vitamin D, all that stuff, it wasn't just for my health, it's also related to my skin. It helped me with my eczema, right? So like there's a lot, man. I can't even start where things have gone, like but it's just I'm happy it shaped me to who I am today. Like I'll never talk down to somebody. I'll never judge someone based on what's going on with their skin, whatever health issues they got going on, because I've been through things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's easy for people to judge, like, like you're in swimming classes and you get kicked out of class because the teacher thinks you're contagious, but you're not, right? And then like then after that,
That's ignorance. They don't know.
yeah. So it's like, and then I had to get a note from the doctor to say that, oh no, he's not contagious. So then, like just little things. It's parents too. Like I don't blame parents having a kid now because you got like all these skin issues out there, like chickenpox, whatever. Like you want to protect your kid. I get it.
Yeah.
But being a kid, you go through that. There's a lot, man. Like but the thing is, I kept my head up because I had family support. In my family, my cousins, friends around me that were solid people, right? Like that weren't judging me based on that stuff. So like, obviously you're bullied throughout high school. I fought my battles. I mean, there's a lot, man. I can't even. That's a long topic, though.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it molded me to who I am today.
So
right?
what are some?
Sorry,
what are some things? So okay, we started off with you had very bad eczema.
There's like that saying, like they say, you don't know what someone else is going through.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're going through in their life, so why are you trying to make their life harder by your own stupid comments and stupid things like that?
Yeah.
So for me, like my motto of life has always been put a smile on people's faces. Like I got anger issues. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not perfect, but I don't. When I'm angry, even I'm not gonna come at you in a way where you're gonna leave feeling. I'm not gonna talk down to you. I'm not gonna use things against you. If I get pissed off, I get pissed off. I'll tell you why I'm pissed off, right? But I'm not gonna be like, you fuck this. Fuck. I'm sorry, they shouldn't be swearing, but like, f this, f that. Your skin's like this, you're like that, or you're so fat, you're so this. People just take the loopholes, right?
Is that a product of like you had to go through that stuff and you were kind of like you went through that stuff and that's why you're like, okay, I'm when I'm in this situation, I'm not going to be the person that like talks down to people? Or is it something that you got like maybe education or maybe your cousins or friends are like, no, don't be like this, don't be like that? Like, where do you think that came from?
It's a mixture of that and my parents, my dad and my grandpa, like those two. Like a dad's he's a bit different now, but I mean my gramps, I'd say mostly like how to treat situations. And that mostly came from him, because even with him, like when things would happen, he would never low blow you. He would just stay facts. Mm-hmm. Simple facts. Like you're wrong at this, and that's why you're wrong. It is what it is. Or this is why I'm pissed off. It is what it is, right? Like it was never like, oh, that guy pissed me off. Now I'm gonna go say something about his wife or go say something about his kids or things like that. It's a product of how I was raised versus a combination of product of what I went through, how things happened to me. So I was always like, I'm never gonna do that for something else. Right?
So what are some things like maybe there's some people that are dealing with some stuff. Maybe it's similar to what you had to deal with when you were younger. Maybe it's comparable. what are some maybe like tips or words of encouragement for those people that you could pass on and be like, all right, cool. Like, so like for me, when I was younger, if I saw anybody getting bullied, right? Like there's actually people that have come up to me afterwards saying like, yo, that one time where you stood up for me, those guys never bullied me again, but they were bullying me for like months. So like that makes me feel good that I'm like, that one act of kindness helped that person, right? And who knows which way they could have gone, right? So in your perspective, like, having gone through some tough stuff, we know that everybody goes through a degree of tough times, but you were going through the skin issues. I have some clients with acne and things like that. Do you have anything, tips, words of encouragement, like, for those people to kind of push through and then kind of come out on the other side?
Build yourself. And what I mean by that is don't limit yourself on things. Like I was limited on, my parents didn't put me in sports. They didn't put me in this. They didn't put me in that. Things I wanted to do because of my skin. They're like, your skin's going to react, or this is going to happen. It is what it is. You can deal with it. You can fix it. Like acne, all these things, there's things that you can do to fix them or treat it and doesn't get inflamed. But my best advice I can give anybody based on what I've been through, and that's something I've probably struggled with. Like, even though I'm always uplifting everybody, I'm always in the ear, I'm always there. Like, I'll be there for people, like whatever the F is going on. And like, I'll support people through anything. But my biggest struggle of it all was deep down was self-love. And that's honestly the best advice I can give anybody, man, is practice self-love. Love yourself.
So what are some things that you're doing? Like,
so
I want to give people like tangible things, like, okay, cool. Like I'm in that situation. What can I do?
Like, okay, I'll give you an example for myself. My biggest issue was I was always covered up, right? Like I was always in hoodies. I was never wearing t-shirts. And that was also because of my scarring. And the scars aren't that bad. Obviously, if you show it, people, they're like, dude, there's nothing there. But it was just.
But you also have sleeves. You also have tatted up sleeves now. So looks
now I do, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, the PTSD from like the young days where like you had just like craters on you, man, open, like that's deep, right? Just all over your body. I just had to practice self-love where I eliminate any negativity. So you got people around you, and I'm talking about family members too, man. Like there's days right now, my forehead will be a little inflamed. I'll come downstairs if one of my uncles are over or someone's over, like, oh, look at your forehead. I'm like, look at your face. Like, hey, yeah, I woke up, I saw it. Like, you really need to point it out and make it clear. Like, so it's hard, man, because I struggled with it for so long, but you get to a point that like, love yourself for who you are. Build yourself up to a point where like, you bring this energy and aura around you that people are just going to be attracted to you no matter what. Energies are everything. If you're walking around, your skin's messed up and you got your shoulders down, you're scared to show your face, and there's someone around, you're going to get probably picked on or whatever's going to happen. Stand your ground, be confident in who you are, and practice self-love. And there's a lot of self-love tools out there, man. There's podcasts. There's like, you go on YouTube, type in self-love. The list doesn't end of what's out there, man. Flush out the negativity with positivity and just go do what you need to do. For me, it was always my skin, my this and this. And you know what? I found my outlet was the gym. And it's funny because the same people that bullied and talked shit and said stuff, I run into the gyms. I ran into them and they're coming up to me now saying, oh, hey, well, what the hell is going on, man? Like, you're looking good. This. I played all at these people's events. I'm the guy they come to now. I don't blame them. I don't judge them because everyone was young. That was their age. They were bullies back then, whatever it was, whatever, But I look at now where I'm at, where they're at, I'm at a different level than them. Because that built me. People don't understand what it feels like to go through the things we've been through. I don't talk about it because what am I going to get out of talking about it? But I know by talking about it, I can help people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Personally, like I know, like I don't want to get into details with it, but like if anyone's out there that's struggling with things like that, man, reach out. Like people are here that have gone through it that can help you. You need to someone to talk to. Like we're out there, and if there's topics out there that you guys want to ask, I'll speak about it, man. I got nothing to hide, right? But like it's just so much that I can't pinpoint. But self-love is the number one thing out of it all.
Mhm.
Be comfortable in your skin, be comfortable who you are, and don't let one little comment trigger you. Like for me, it used to be like little things, bro. Like, oh, your skin's inflamed, I wouldn't go to an event.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
your face is bloated today, I'd hide. Right? Like, and I'm like, whatever, man. Someone says I'm bloated, I mean, I'm bulking.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah, yeah.
My skin's a little inflamed. Yeah, I ate some ice cream yesterday.
It's like
Oh,
creating a mental armor.
yeah, it's just like they're like, oh, well, you shouldn't eat it then. I'm like, yeah, no. Okay, move on. Like, don't give it attention. Like, just it's hard, man. Like, I feel, and especially when it's on the face, like your body, you feel you can hide, but when it starts to get to your face, like that, you can't hide that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it got worse even during COVID with these masks and everything. And like, it's just self-love, bro. That's it. And
Okay.
self-love ain't easy. Don't get me wrong. It's not something you're just gonna happen overnight. This is like that discipline question you asked earlier. It's gonna come into play. Is how disciplined are you to really love yourself? Are you gonna allow people's opinions and thoughts because you know yourself better than anybody?
Yeah, yeah.
And if there are things people are nitpicking you that you're getting mad about, you're probably getting mad because it's true.
Yeah, yeah.
So if there's a portion of it that's true, work on it. Change it, right? Like, and self-love is the best thing, man. Like, if there's some direct question about that kind of stuff, let me know. But self-love, right? No one can touch you if you love yourself. And I'm surprised being a nurse for what, 12 years now? 12 years, I think. What is
It's been
it?
a long time, man. Yeah. 2010, I think, right?
2010. So like being a nurse for all these years, you've seen it all. Like I've seen people that portray they're confident that they're not, like, but the ones that are self-confident, self-confidence is everything. And that just because they own their stuff, man. They're not trying to be someone they're not. They just do what they need to do, and they're making themselves happy. You make yourself happy, no one can touch it. Right? And I was always looking for like validation, or is that what it is? Validation through people. I think you can say like,
yep.
I work out, and then I'd come around and just to see if people notice you're getting jacked, or
yep.
like you'd make your eat clean, and then like make your skin's feeling good today, and you leave your house, like waiting for someone to say, oh man, you look, you constantly look for validation. I had to change that.
Yeah. Yep.
Because the only validation I need to look for is myself. Wake up the next day is, who was I yesterday and who am I today? Right? That's it. Self-love, man.
Yeah.
So I can put it.
Well said, man. Well said. So I can't really top that in any way. I'm just gonna say the best piece of advice that I can give is get your body moving. Right? You can get into a gym. If you get into a gym and you integrate yourself in that community, we're equal. We're all equal. 100%. If you come into the place where I train jujitsu, I don't care if you're like a 14-year-old kid, just want like, super introverted, nervous, barely can talk. We're equal. And if you remember, like when I was teaching earlier on, I would have a class of majority the kids, they were all like 18 and under with like 4 MMA fighters, like professional fighters. So 4 pro fighters and like maybe 15 to 20 kids under the age of 18, varying from like 12 to 18. And I noticed like a lot of them left after they graduated high school. So for them, it was that challenging time during high school where they're like, maybe they were going to get bullied or whatever. And you know what would happen? I would train for 2 hours, and then for half an hour, I'd sit in the ring. Back in our old gym, we used to have a ring, and we sit in the ring and we'd basically talk with the kids for half an hour. And I talk to some of them now and they're like, you know what? That 5-year period that we trained with you, we stayed out of trouble.
Yeah.
Right. People didn't mess with us because we had like a group that we trained with, and they're like, don't mess with those guys. They know what they're doing. And it allowed them to get through high school. And then once they graduated, they're like, I'm good now. I don't think I need this anymore. So for anybody that's dealing with some stuff, it doesn't have to be skin related issues only. It doesn't have to be like, if you're going through some stuff, get into the gym, find something physical, integrate yourself in that community, because those people are very uplifting for the most part. You get some bad apples for sure, but if you join the local place and you start to integrate yourself with the community, you're going to find yourself like, holy crap, there's some really good people out here. And it's not all just, the negativity that you might have. So that's one tip that I would give. And then definitely like agree with everything that Sonny said. So like if you guys are dealing with some stuff, and you guys don't know where to go, feel free to reach out to us, because we have no problem talking about these type of things. We want to be a place where people can go, and if they're dealing with some things, like, we want to provide support for those people, because not only in the sports, like in terms of bodybuilding, we've had some people pass away due to mental health, but we've also had people in mixed martial arts and just everyday life. And I think a lot of it has to do with they don't feel like they can talk to people about stuff. They, especially if you're from the old generation, where it's like, men are not allowed to talk about their feelings, and, if you cry, you're a wimp, and things like that. Right. So, I mean, there's no harm in talking to people, talk it through. And there's support for everybody. Don't feel like you're alone. Man, I think that's no better way to end the podcast, man.
Okay, bro.
All right, bro. Take care.